Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Non-Duality, an examination of the three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep. This is part one. The last one had no part one in it, but it was the introduction part of it. This is part one, which will be my part four. So anyways, I guess there's nothing else to say about it. So let's get started. I don't know how many parts I'm going to put this into, but it's 3 or 2 parts. But we'll go ahead and get started.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so this is the second talk on the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. And in the last class, I was telling you that there are some very unique aspects to this examination that distinguishes this type of discrimination from all other approaches to find out what is the reality of this universe and what is the reality of my true self. This method of the three states is the crown jewel. It's the most convincing. It's based on everyone's common universal experience. And it is in consonance with reason based on those experiences. I had said that the teaching of the three states is not about the three states. It's about who is experiencing the three states. Is there an experiencer of the three states? That's the real inquiry. And in the end, we come to the realization that in fact, what I called the states, what I called waking, was nothing other than me. What I called dream was nothing other than me. And what I call deep sleep is nothing other than me. That the only reality is me. How we get to that conclusion takes a mind that is able to dispassionately examine their own experience. The second important point to be appreciated is that, and this is something that everybody could think about and either agree or disagree, that all philosophies, all spiritual approaches, in fact, every attempt to realize what is reality, who am I, has based their conclusions primarily on the waking state. The waking state, my waking state, every thinker takes it as a given that the waking state is the real in which this world appears. This is the real world, and I'm going to use my senses and reasoning and determine what is the nature of this world. That approach is called the waking state approach. That when you look at it from the waking point of view, there is a world that's established by my senses that exists long before I arrived, that will certainly continue to exist in some form after I am long gone. And that this world, there are other people like me who are also awake, and they are perceiving this same real world. And in this world, I am having experiences like waking. When I'm awake, I'm aware of the real world. When I dream, the real world remains. And for a short while, my mind creates a imaginary world. And then perhaps I become unconscious for a while. And those states are existing in the real waking world in the 24-hour time period of the waking. For a period, I have an imaginary dream. And then a little later, I get into deep sleep and I'm not, everything conks out. And then the real world, once again, appears to me in the waking. So my waking is an event that has come about by my mind and my senses. It's my mind that's creating my waking experience. So that the waking is produced by the mind, just like the dream. The mind can produce an imaginary world. So, and the mind can stop functioning for a while, in which case I'm not aware of anything. So it's the mind and the mind is in the world. The mind is a phenomena in the world, and it's just aware of the real world. It imagines the dream world, and when it stops functioning. So from this point of view, the state is in the world. So here is what I want, one important point that I want to share, that is, does the world that I see with my senses and know with my mind, does that world exist independent of my waking state?
With this, I would say yes. It's independent of your waking state because of other people. And the sheer fact that when you go through your deep sleep state or your dream state, is it the dream? Yeah. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep state. You're every time you always come back to your wake state and the state that's always there. I'm wondering if it's trying to get at the fact that because if you're not conscious of it, therefore it does not exist. I wonder if it's going to say that. I'm not sure. But in terms of the fact that when we go to, for example, if I could just instantly go into the different states, right? My wake state right now, the wake state world exists. I go to my deep sleep state, and then I wake up. I wake up in the exact. Another thing to make note of is I wake up in the exact same position. As I went to sleep, unless you're a turner, you're a tosser or a turner, which I am. I, but I'm in the bed though, and everything around me hasn't really changed. Things deteriorate over time, of course, but like I'm in the same house, same room, same bed, same sheets, same clothing, and same world in a sense. So even whenever I'm not in a deep sleep or dream state, the wake state still does exist and is still there, and things have happened while I was in the dream or the deep sleep state. I'm kind of curious. I wonder what he'll say here.
In other words, does the world exist in the state, what I call world? I think I should back up a little bit. When I say the waking world, let me tell you how comprehensive that world is. The waking world comprises time and space, causation, agents, actions,
Karma.
results,
Karma.
enjoyers, things that are enjoyed, enjoyment. All of that is included in the waking state. It's not that your mind, and your senses are something outside the state. They come with the waking state. They're concomitant with the waking state. Now, this might be very difficult to accept, that my waking world appears only with my waking state in the same exact way that my dream world only exists with the dream state. When the dream ends, the dream world that was appearing in that state doesn't continue to exist anywhere. We all say, oh, it was just an imagination. There was no dream world. It was just a dream. But this waking world, we all have the natural conviction that this is the real world and it's not dependent on my waking state. But the experience, the actual experience, is that no one has ever experienced their waking world independent of the waking state. The world is in the state. The states are not in the world. The state comprehends everything that's appearing in that state. We have to take the totality of what appears as soon as the waking appears. My body, my senses, my mind, I'm a knower. I have senses. I see the world. The world exists independent. All of that, including the time in which all this is existing and the space in which all of this is located, that whole state is what's called the waking state. It encompasses the whole of the waking world in the same exact way that while the dream is occurring, that whole dream world that was appearing, the dream was not in the dream world. The dream world was appearing in the dream. It had no existence apart from the dream. To see that the waking world could never be experienced apart from my waking state. As soon as the dream appears, at that moment, the whole waking state is sublated. It's canceled. No, but as soon as the dream begins, I'm identified with the dream body. I have dream senses, and I see the dream world, and I take it to be real because I see it, and my friend sees it, and there's time and space. It all seems real. At that time, the waking has been canceled, and the contents of the waking is equally canceled. The dream cancels the waking in the same exact way that the waking cancels the dream. And let me point out one other subtle thing that could be appreciated here. When the waking appears, it appears with the waking time, or what time it's 9 o'clock. And where am I? I'm in the mountains in Woodstock, and my friend is coming. Oh, the whole thing. Two questions. When did the waking appear? What time did your waking state appear? Time appeared in the waking, but the state itself. What time did the dream appear? Is it an event that took place in the waking time? Or is the experience, as soon as the dream appeared, the waking was canceled? Nothing in the waking makes itself into the dream at the time of the experience of it. And nothing of the dream makes itself into the waking. As soon as the waking, they cancel each other equally. So the 2 points, the states are not in time. Time is in the states. Because the states are not in time, they can't be related as first there's the waking state, and then there's the dream state, and then sleep. When we base our examination from the waking bias, we say, I am awake, I had a dream, I slept, and now I woke up. As though this ego, this Ira, is passing through 3 states. But what is the experience? The waking Ira never made it into the dream. He came with the waking, he went with the waking. As soon as the dream came, there was a dream Ira. There's no one Ira that made it into the dream, neither his senses or mind or body. I'm now fully identified with the body and mind and senses that's appearing in that dream state. That's how I'm able to see the dream objects in dream time and obeying the dream laws. At that time, I take that as waking. Even to call it a dream is a bias from this point of view, because the experience of dream is that it's waking. When you actually look at the time of the experience, it appeared real. That was your body. You were old, you were young, you were identified with that. The senses that were in the body were perceiving that world, but the whole state, that world was pervaded by the state. In the same way, the waking world exists in the waking state, and the states cancel each other equally, but they don't cancel each other in time, because there's no time outside of the states in which one could come first. As soon as the waking, there is no dream. As soon as there's the dream, there is no waking. You cannot perceive the dream world with your waking senses or mind. You could say, I remember the dream, but you can't perceive the dream objects with your waking senses.
What about daydreams? People who... I know some people who are like, they're doing something and they start daydreaming and their body just goes on automatic mode, but they're just not there. So, like, how about that though? You know, again, just a thought out there. Like, there are, I mean, daydream is a thing, and I don't know if that's considered the dream state, because it's kind of in the middle between the awake state and dream state. You are awake, but the weirdest thing about it, in some cases, there are people who are very, when they get into this dream state, they get very much into in their heads, in a sense, where you're just like, hey, 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 you're yelling at them and they're just not getting it. It's not registering, because their attention or their awareness is in their daydream and not their present waking world, in a sense. I'm just kind of curious.
I'm going to back up a little bit more.
And I'm actually going to pause it right there. So again, the biggest question here so far I've gotten is just like, I never thought about this. I actually reacted to the part two of this, thinking I was in part two, but part one, and I had about the same question there too. And it's just about this daydream state. Where is this state at? Because it again, like I don't think I said it in that part, but it seems like it's a state between the waking and the dreaming state. It's that in between area, because you're technically awake, your eyes are functioning, your senses are functioning. It's just that it requires a very strong, whatever it is, whatever strong sense of whatever your sense that needs to get the attention has to be very strong for it to break you out of that dream state. So, for example, like, whenever, I don't know if anyone ever done this, but I've had a few people where I go like, hey, hey, and I had to yell at them. I was like, hey, and they're like, huh, oh, sorry, like I was just daydreaming. Or you poke them a little bit, like you poke them again, like a little bit harder this time. All of a sudden you're like, and they're like, what? So they're not sleeping though. They're up there and their eyes are open. So I've never heard of any gurus or swami talk about that daydream. I wonder what state would that be in. Well, anyways, I'm going to pause right here. Let me know if you know the answer to that one, or if any of the gurus or swamis have answered that about daydreaming. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.